big guy like him can shed a few tears. Thank you so much, Will, and thank you so much to the men's team. I love the men's team, and I love this sport so much. So many of you probably don't know the first day that you ever watched a rugby game. I actually know the date and the time that I ever saw my very first rugby game, and I have the ticket right here. When I went over to Ireland, my husband, then my super hot boyfriend, he took me to an Ireland against Scotland rugby match. And this is a schoolboy-schoolgirl ticket. It's standing room only for the bargain price of £1.50. So I spent months saving up to go from America to Ireland, and he takes me on an event that costs about $2. Big spender. But we stood shoulder to shoulder with his friends, and we were jammed into this rugby game, standing room only. And he pointed out to one of the guys, and he said, "You see that number 9 over there? That's the scrum half. That's my position." So I didn't know a thing about rugby, so I said, "Well, that's a real wussy position." I think I won his friends over with that comment. So afterwards, we went to the pub, and this big Scottish guy came in, and he had a big bag of wooden spoons. And so for all of Brian's friends that were still standing after a day of drinking, they all got together, and they all the standing guys signed the spoons. So Dave's signatures were here. That was it. Dave was the only ones left standing. So that trip was to introduce me to Brian's family, but it also introduced me into the family of rugby, but I didn't really know it at that time. Now, Will just went into the history a little bit of North Bay Rugby. And I want to tell you, when Brian said that he wanted to start a team because Patrick wanted to play, I mean, anyone who knows me knows that I am never wrong. Right? Never wrong. But I actually have been wrong 4 times. The first time that I heard the Madonna song, Lucky Star, I labeled her as a one-hit wonder. I said, that chick is never going to make it. And then on September 9th, we were in New York, and I had about 2 pictures left in my camera, and Brian said, "Why don't you take a picture of the Twin Towers?" I said, "I could get that anytime. No problem." Well, when Brian said he wanted to start a youth rugby team, I said, "That is ridiculous. No one is ever going to let their child play rugby. It's ludicrous." And it looked like I was going to be right, because him and, you're right, Bill Tarello and Brandon Friel, they sat in the Aberdeen Parks and Rec room for 2 solid days, and not a single kid came in to sleep. And then our Patty Joe said, "Give me a bunch of those registration papers." And he brought them to school, and ever since then, the past 2 years, we've had 90 kids every summer and a waiting list. And in those early days, I couldn't have done it without Brandon Friel and Bill Tarello and Hot Dog Hugh Walter, who I'm so glad to see here, and Mike and Angela Schmidt. Those were the beginning guys. And then it got so big, we had to make a little league of our own, so we started pulling in even more coaches. And these are the guys who set the tone for what that team was going to look like. No yelling, no parents, no craziness. And it was JoJo and Texaco, and Brad Spence and Chris Perkins, Chris Savin, Kenny Leonard, Paulie Hagerman, Willow, Eric Bojo, Brian Freeland, Disgruntled Chris, who was actually juiceboxing kids back in those days, Kevin Townsend and Naked Townsend, Mike Cristofano, and of course Marty the Party Maurice. And what's really been rewarding is to see the kids who've come back and who have asked to coach. They were kids then, and now they're coaching. Guys like Will, who's interested, and Chris Kunkel, Evan Orphanides, Tristan Townsend, and our own wonderful Patty Joe, who really shows a talent for coaching and the love for the kids that Brian and I do. So then when we started the high school team, Tex was the man. I'm so glad to see that you're here, because I was just like, I can't do this without my Texaco. And he was everything every kid could want in a coach. The tradition for excellence with our high school team continues with Rick McDonald, Joe Cout, Naked, our right-hand man. Craig and Eddie have been at so many practices and helped out. And the guys running the girls' team right now, Mark Zedvicott, Scott Hoffman, and Jamie Swarting. They're really doing a fantastic job with that program, and it's so happy. So many of our players and our kids all say that North Bay Rugby is a family. I think you can feel that here tonight. But it's been actual family members that have helped out. And when we traveled to Ireland 2 different trips, Brian's mother and his sister welcomed them into their homes. And on every trip, 1 or more of my very gorgeous Irish nieces have stopped by, and they inspire and tempt our boys' team, and they've coaxed them to wonder what it might be like to marry a beautiful Irish girl. Well, now that I think of it, I don't think they really wanted to marry them, but still, you get the point. My nieces are amazing, and also amazing are the coaches that traveled with us. And on the first trip, we had Marty, and we had wonderful Crazy Dave and Kenny in Texaco and Savin. And I have to tell a little story about Savin. When Brian broke his scapula and his 3 ribs, and I was at his side in the hospital, and he was on morphine, and we were at the hospital bed, and I was just so concerned. And they said there was an emergency phone call at the nurse's station. So I went out to the nurse's station, and it was Savin who said that if Brian couldn't perform his husbandly duties, that he would volunteer. Really the kind of support you want at a time like that. And in 2010, we had Eric Bojo, Craig and Eddie, who taught our boys all those dirty little songs. I love that. And Mark Zipfiget. You know, even here, our Irish guys come. Connor has helped our boys out in Ireland, and Michael comes down and he tortures our boys to the degree that they really need it. They love it. We can't do North Bay, though, without a lot of different people, so I have to name some people. First of all, Jeff the Demcheck. Nobody knows that Jeff does more for the youth program than just about anybody. He is creative, and he gives the most superior customer service ever. His goods are top-notch, and I'm so proud that I can work with him on these things. We have Chris McDonough. She's a carpool queen, and she's been the #1 recruiter for our kids. She pulls in some awesome, awesome athletes. We also have Ted Kunkel. Ted Kunkel, who's a wonderful father, a rugby supporter, and a loyal sponsor of every scholarship we've ever given, and we've given $8,000 in scholarships, and all our travel endeavors. Then there's the kids that are in the program, absolutely wonderful. I love these kids, and I've loved having their parents in our lives. 12 years of touch rugby, 9th year of high school, we've had literally hundreds of kids play for North Bay Rugby. Kids like Chris Kunkel, Cole, Zach Hayes, Tristan, our beautiful Audrey over there, Ange, Holly, Brianna Matarazzo, Brenton, Harry Potter, and Danny Perry. So happy to have you guys. And then we got moms, like you just saw the video from Linda. Linda pulls together pictures and videos, and Kim Goon as well. She's taking pictures on the sidelines and making everybody happy. And then the parents, the Pfeiffers, the Webbs, Vic Marinich, the Sidlarziks, they all help. It wouldn't do to talk about the family of rugby without talking about my own family, so if you'll indulge me. My dad, who gave me the love of sports, and my mom, who used to say that her pet peeve was people who sit and complain from the comfort of a lawn chair. She told me never to be that kind of person, so I didn't. And my sister, who inspires me in all things to be just like her. My amazing children give me so much to be proud of and thankful for. Brianna, who's working full-time and going for her master's degree in accounting. I love you, my precious. And Patty Jo, who next month is going to be graduating from the University of Delaware with a degree in medical technology. I love you so, and you know the ending of that. I won't say it too embarrassing. It is the inspiration for all of this madness that we call rugby, which brings me to Brian. Were he not still actively playing rugby, he would be up here accepting this lovely, lovely honor. We are a perfect partnership. I was so lucky to have married my best friend, and wherever he goes, I'm going to follow, whether it's the rugby field or anywhere else. He's the idea man, and I'm the OCD control freak workaholic that makes it happen. But every great idea that has made this team a success has been his. From the third quarter rule, to the way he says and always lets the game teach the game, to the incredible people sense that he has in picking just the right coaches for the kids, and in knowing exactly where every new player should play in order to maximize their talents. No one can build a young player's confidence better than Brian. He shares his love of this wonderful game in a way that is so contagious that we create little rugby addicts. But the ideas and the vision, it's all him. He's still an exciting player to watch, and he proves week after week that you're only as old as you feel. He's an inspiration to every player on this and any opponent team that plays our awesome men's team. I think you will all agree with me that Brian Hickey is hands down the most dedicated, the longest playing, and quite clearly the best rugby player that North Bay has See, I knew I was right about that. You all agreed. I've said that I was wrong 4 times and I only told you about 3. Well, I might have missed a few more times that I was wrong, but I'm not going to get into that. But I was wrong that day in 1984. There is no wussy position in rugby. It's comprised of the most wonderful guys, the greatest kids, the most ardent, supportive parents. It is an amazing family. And thank you to all of you for letting me, the wussy non-player, be a part of the family. Thank you.